ideas change. They don't always stay in the same place. They evolve. My book, By Darkness Hid, evolved in a big way. It started out as a dream I had, a random sci-fi kind of dream where this soldier woman was going to break into this hospital on the bad side of the city to rescue the prince who had been in an accident over there. And her soldiers were all like coming in like a SWAT team. And when they got to the hospital room, the curtain whipped back and this dude in a hospital gown steps out and he starts chatting at them. And he had like this kind of amnesia. He couldn't remember who he was. He couldn't remember where he came from. All he knew is that he was with the prince. And so the soldier woman didn't know what to do, and she didn't want to leave this guy behind if he was important, so she decided to take him with her. Now, when I woke up, what I knew was that amnesia guy was the real prince, that there had been a switcheroo. And I woke up and I was so excited. I was like, this idea is cool, a switcheroo idea. And that's really all I had. So I filed that idea away, but I kept noodling at it because I liked it and it was cool and I kept thinking about it. I wanted to write it, and as I brainstormed and thought more about it and who these people might be and why this city might be divided in two and why one side was bad and one side was good, somewhere in there I decided to switch it to a fantasy story than I liked swords better than blasters. And it was sometime during this brainstorming phase that I happened upon another big part of the idea. I was walking with my son in the stroller and we happened upon a house that had been burned down. So inside the fence of this yard, the house was all burned and there was a tree right there by the fence, and the branches that were inside the fence were all charred, and the branches that were hanging over the fence and over the sidewalk were still leafy green and blowing in the wind. And I stared at that tree like this. It was pretty much the coolest thing I'd ever seen. Unfortunately, this was before cell phones, so I didn't have a way to take a picture of it. So I just booked it home with my boy and put him for a nap, and then I sat down and photoshopped this tree, and this is what I made. So then I had Amnesia Guy switcheroo story, and I had this cool half-dead tree, and I thought, what if there was a land that was half shrouded in darkness? Yes, that's why they couldn't go on the other side of the city in my dream, because it was like cursed or something. That's all I had. Around that time, I read these absolutely glorious books, The Thief, The Queen of Atalia, and The King of Atalia by Whalen Turner. They're beautiful. I loved these books. These books had a big influence on my Blood of Kings trilogy. As I was reading, there was this one character who was described as a boy who was described as small and soft-spoken and shy. And something about this character, the way this character was described over and over, made me think, I think that's a woman in disguise. For some reason, this person must be hiding out because for some dangerous reason that, to protect herself. Well, to my delight, the character wasn't a girl. I was wrong. And that meant I could use this in my own story. So I decided that my soldier woman needed to be in disguise as a man for some reason. Then I had to spend some time figuring out why she'd be in disguise as a man. But that is where Vrell's character changed in a big way. She no longer was this military woman. She was this woman in hiding, which I found more interesting, but maybe that's because I'm a girl. But that's where Vrell came from. And then one more step before I got lost in Storyworld Builder's Disease, which we'll discuss later, I drew a map. Here is a picture of the map that I drew. This is the final draft of it. And as you can see, it is filled with all sorts of interesting things, interesting places, mountains, geography, all kinds of stuff. And I had that to help me when I decided where my characters would go, who they would meet when they got there, and what kinds of things would go on. The combination of all those things are what really combined to make the Blood of Kings trilogy what it ended up being.